Hi there, I am Donna Settles Allen. I represent SEEK in Silver Spring, Maryland. I am the assistant to the executive director, and I also serve as the parent-to-parent program coordinator. And I am here today just to present a little bit of information about how we at SEEK have implemented Charting the Life Course framework. And my presentation is called Making an Impact, the Evolution of Charting the Life Course framework in a provider organization. I'm delighted to present to you Making an Impact, the Evolution of Charting the Life Course framework in a provider organization. So I just want to tell you a little bit about our organization, SEEK, and it's located in a suburban area that is annexed in between two large metropolitan areas, basically DC and Baltimore. And our proximity to the cities just affords us the ability to access many resources to the degree that one would think that families can get everything that they need and have access to pretty much anything. Unfortunately, this is not the case many times, just because of the sheer number of resources that creates complexities for families, and it can be overwhelming. Sometimes the resources are hard to find, or due to our traffic patterns, hard to get to. They have complicated eligibility requirements. Sometimes families find that hard to navigate, or we have ineffective outreach efforts, so that we're not getting to the families that need us the most, and families may not understand or trust the systems that are designed to help. We also have many different cultures in our area, many different languages that are spoken, and so that just adds to the complexity of the people that we can support and the people we can reach. But SEEK, we do support over 400 people, and we have multiple models of services, community-based services, employment services, and a residential model. So as we think about how SEEK got involved in the Life Course framework, we just wanted to become a bigger part of the picture in our state. So I and another colleague, Cindy Kaufman, and I joined the state advisory membership. We completed the Life Course Ambassador Series, and we just continued to develop our knowledge and understanding of the Life Course framework. And this has enabled us to take advantage of opportunities of making a direct impact on the people we support at SEEK and their families. So we began our journey at SEEK. We used what we call a county-based resource model. And it just basically means that we ask community members to participate in a stakeholder group, and we attempted to use that group to tackle broad systems issues that families were facing as they tried to access services. So we solicited community members from a variety of different demographics, and we went through with them in a couple of different meetings. We summarized the principles of the Life Course framework, or at least we attempted to do this. So we just were trying to see if this would be a good model in our first attempt at the Life Course framework. And as you can tell by my tone, it kind of failed. But when we think of the failure, we don't think of it as a failure and we're done. We just think of it as we had to stop and try again. So we found that our attempts with this county-based model was ineffective, and it was difficult to gather people together in an engaged and cohesive group. And then we were challenged by our geographic proximity. We're in between Prince George's County, Maryland, and Montgomery County, Maryland, and the traffic can be horrendous. So getting people to us was pretty difficult. And then we just found that due to the many people involved in the stakeholder group, we just had multiple agendas that were represented in that dynamic. So we had to go back to the drawing board. We moved from the model of the county-based resources and started to think of our own services at SEEK and thinking about how we could begin there and reaching out as we learned. It proved to make more of an impact and focus on the work with the people that we were already providing supports to. So the state, and through the state level community of practice meetings that we engaged in, and with the input from our DDA Director of Family Supports, Marianne Kane-Bresci, and many other colleagues on that team, we determined that we would have a bigger impact if we just backed up, took a breath, and started again at Seek, and began to show evidence of how these tools could actually affect people's lives. So we began to train our staff on how to think about lifespan and family support approaches. And we worked with the people we supported and their families pretty much one at a time, and sometimes in small groups. So we use that find, train, use, and impact that you see on the slide there. So we found opportunities within Seek, and there are several opportunities that arose for us during our brainstorm period, and we customized and implemented the life course tools with each project that you see listed here. We found that using the tools often and using the tools within different projects and with our staff, we grew and our staff grew in understanding the framework and the usefulness for our staff to do their jobs, and for usefulness in the lives of the people we support. So in the upcoming slides, I'll describe each of the projects and its impact in the way that we implemented those services. And as you can see here, we use them for pre-planning and person-centered supports. We built a customized hospital profile during COVID times when families couldn't get to their son or daughter if they should have been hospitalized. We also were awarded a grant through the ARC of Maryland called Spark, and we are using it currently in our DSP mentoring model. So using the life course framework for staff training proved to be so advantageous for not only the families we support and the people we support, but our staff. So we met individually in teams. We used our community engagement staff to kind of use them as guinea pigs, if you will. And we met with them and taught them how to use a one-page profile, which was like who you are and kind of describing that. And then also, then the next step we would use to teach them how to use a trajectory tool. And then we also taught them how to use the integrative star. But we taught them how to use all these tools based on their own lives and what they were going through and how they wanted to either propel their career or how they wanted to use it in their personal lives. And it was such a valuable way to develop the competence of using Charting the Life Course framework. And many of the staff, because we implemented in that way, they felt very empowered that they could also now go and use that for the people that they supported. So we found that using the tools always and often was the best method to helping our staff to really understand how to implement some of the principles of the life course framework. And they used them through COVID and using their hospitalization profiles, as you see right here, and it really helped them to understand the usefulness of the tools and how to implement them. In this slide, we have our Moving Out with Supports, which is our Spark grant through the ARC of Maryland. And we have been using the tools with this grant and finding them to be very impactful as people learn how to move out and plan to move out and be more independent of their families. And the families are in this call as well as the people we support. And it's making a real impact on transitioning youth and their families. So if you have any questions, I'm Donna Settles Allen, and this is my information that you can reach me on, and I'll be happy to share any slides with you as well as the tools. Thanks for listening.